TradeDevils out there, happy Friday. Well, kind of an ugly day for risk assets. Certainly, I know you're all seeing that. Well, with the market, we had almost 2% in the ES, to a little over 2 in the NQ. It's just not likely to be a good day for crypto. So Bitcoin, of course, selling off in concert with the NQ and tech. I haven't blown up the count here, but we're just getting a bit boring, right? Perhaps this consolidation here, something will come. But at the moment here, even if you try, the count here is just such a clusterfuck of. Yeah, could it be a 1-2? Yeah, could be a 1-2. This, I'm not even going to try and count that, right? It's just radio waves. Another 1-2. It's not much of a corrective 3 in there. That's just a dagger. Invalidation here to the idea we've got a 1-2. Invalidation here to the idea we've got a 1-2. Or so if we're going to have to wait, right? It's not ripe yet, right? It's not time yet. ETF flows are a little stagnant to down, right? For Bitcoin, there's talk, maybe we've got XRP and Solana and some of the other coins getting. God, I swear, I thought I saw something today about a Doge ETF. So in the background, all sorts of long-term potential, but in the short term, we're caught up in the crazy coming out of Washington, right? So nothing we can do about that. So we just kind of look at what's happening here. I wouldn't be a buyer here, right? So, well, it depends on what your interest is, right? So you can look at this and say, well, I can buy it at 95. Well, if we're up at new all-time highs, you'll feel like a hero. Is that the kind of price action that would support the idea of buying? It's a rhetorical question, right? So, other than, okay, well, everybody's selling. Maybe you want to be a buyer. That's the only thing I can think of, right? I wouldn't touch that, right? I don't think there's any reason to do anything until this starts to turn around a little bit. We see signs of bullish activity, right? Something, maybe it's 102, right? Sweep that. It's going to start to look better, right? Let's see what happens here to these pivots if they get swept. That this is all going to need to get recounted. It won't be 1-2, 1-2. Jesus, I don't even know what we'll have there. So we'll wait and see on that if we have to do that. But as it sits right now, I think you just sit tight, let the volatility die down a bit. It's not going to look good anywhere, right? Unless you're short, right? Things are going to look great. I'm going to stick with the majors here. I'm not going to touch ETH. That's such a disappointing. Well, I shouldn't say it that way, right? The chart is certainly not actionable. There's nothing to look at there. Let's stick with my favorites. The three certainly that have, I think, some really solid long-term potential use case that could be valid. So we can go to let's do SUI and Solana. These are SUI, one of the strongest, if not the strongest here. Possible a 1-2 going in here. That looks more like a 5. ABC. So we get some sort of a corrective action there into a 3. It would have to be 1-2, working on a 1-2 again, right? So that's a little bit of hopium. One to be watching, but again, I don't know that you need to be on a 4-hour. Let's go to a 2. Is it good enough? Right, that's what you have to ask yourself. Am I willing to take some risk off of that? Maybe you are. You want something to get out of this range. My suggestion here, we're sitting going sideways, right? So why are you going to buy right in the middle of it? Okay, you say, okay, I'm buying at equilibrium. Okay, maybe, right? So certainly you got to be aware of the big gap in the volume profile here. So if we start to fall down here, we're going to come down. That will invalidate this idea, 1-2. So we'll be back to starting from scratch again. Don't look good today. Again, one day is just a snapshot in time, but certainly the macro forces are in the short term negative for risk. But that, you're right, everything is interconnected. So negative for risk, we'll have upside for others. We're going to look at that, but let me get through the crypto here. Solana here, again. Okay, so let me revisit this. We looked at this count several times, right? If it's 3 and we've done a WX triangle into the Y, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So one possibility here is that we've topped, that's the 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've topped. I'm not ready to go there yet. We'd have to break this golden and break some others. Now, take note here for those of you that keep goldens on and are looking for where to pull them from. Well, there's two ways to look at this. Let me take it off here just to make the point. If indeed we've got WX and we're going to do a triangle into the Y, and we've got our impulse here coming out of the chute here into a 1, well, then WABC into an X, and then, are we done there? A triangle B, this is barely there, right? So a couple of things we can see. Is this just a liquidity sweep? Yeah, certainly possible. The other thing with regards to where you would pull your measured move, you see, if you pull from here if you're thinking with your Elliott hat on, oh, okay, well that's the 1 right here. So I'm going to pull here, and well, we've got it's mostly wick, but either way, right? You'd want to see something like this, right? Where we tap it and then out we go. We don't get that, but note, right? The as you'll hear me say all the time, this algo does not give a flying, you know what, about your Elliott count. It's just going to work from high to low. So the lowest low here within this range, the dominant low to the dominant high, is right here. It doesn't care that you're calling that an X wave. It's just taking, if I get, oh, hey, this will do it, right? So I can get it hot from this low, right? That's the lowest low in this range to the highest high, right? So when we come back down here, boom. No, I mean, I don't know what more is there to say after 6 years, right? So that shouldn't surprise you. Now, that doesn't mean it holds, but okay, maybe we've got a little enough reaction there. You'd want to see this start to take out, at least get a change of state of delivery. So something along these lines, take that. Oh, just something like that to say, okay, this moved down here. We've got at least we get a break of structure here that might suggest, okay, maybe I've got a 1-2 going in, so maybe. Never get it on the first click. Maybe I get a 1 and look to trade down here, going for that 3, right? On the premise that we're going to go 1-2 and then 1, 2, 3. All of this much higher still to come. Right, long term, I remain very, very bullish, but in the short term, we're caught up in the backwash. Okay, right. So that's Solana. SUI we've looked at. SEI, we take a quick peek here. Hard to argue with the impulse here. Interesting technical event here that we get the corner pocket. There's your 80%. Now we kicking out of there. The ingredients are there, but I'd like to see that get a little further. Okay, are we doing 1, 2? Right? Are we going to do 3, 4? I'd like to see that 5 complete. I'm not worried about missing anything. I don't think it's going to do this. Right? Anything's possible. But give me the 5 here, and I'll take the first retrace. But I like this long term. But right now that's again, it's just not good enough, right? Why take risk on something that's maybe, right? I mean, again, why do iffy unless you're just in love with the long term potential? You might you talk yourself into, I'm buying into this consolidation. There's a little breakout, but you can look at it. All you're doing is just bumping into this fair value gap. Let's clear that. Well, there'll be an order block here. So you got a lot of resistance here to clear. So if you're buying it now, there's only one reason you're buying it: FOMO. That's it, right? That's the only reason you would buy it. It wouldn't be like, oh God, we've broken out we broke a pivot. I should say a candle high. Is that enough? Well, if it is for you, have at it, right? I wouldn't buy that, right? But it's up to you. Okay, so that I got Bitcoin, SUI, Solana. One other that I think is also another long-term play that'd be worthwhile. Avalanche, again, there's this use case here. This has got a utility, not a meme coin. So, okay, are we done here? It does look like we've gone A, B, and we're trying to finish this thing here. I don't know where we are here. This could be 1, 2. I think that's an old count. A, B. Yeah, are we done? Do we need to come a little bit lower? Looks like 1, 2, 3. That looks very 4-ish, but this could be a 3 into an A, B, C. We come a little higher. This fair value gap there. So something to bring this up a little bit higher. Now, looking at the relationship here, if this is A, B, and we're going to go C, or if it's WX and we're going to go Y, it remains to be seen, right? So these, oh shit, I should probably just take these off, right? It's too unclear as to what we've got. This looks like a 5. It's not the prettiest 5, but looks like you get a 5 here, pretty clearly a 3. 1, 2, 3. It's not gorgeous. So the Elliott here is a little suspect here. I'd love it down here. We get a little bit lower. If this is some sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, bring that down. Oops, bring that down one more time, down into the golden. Right, double tap down here. Maybe the ledge here would be something to watch for. Right, we know they like to stay on that ledge before dropping lower. So I'd have this on your watch list, right? Maybe just set an alert on that, on the sweep of that low. If they sweep this, right, that would be potentially oh, come here. Oh, where'd you go? Jesus Christ, come here. Okay, let's do the liquidity, right? So get a little liquidity grab here. That might be the kind of thing to ping here, but you don't sit here with a limit order. I never suggest that. Let it react. Take the retrace. Then you're on your way. So that would be potentially, that could be the one. This could be the 1, 2, 3, 4, the impulse of the 1 of 3, because if that's going to go right, where we're going up here, right, 400, right? So this little squirt here, not likely to be not likely to be the 3, but it could be the 1 of the 3 if we're going if we're going that high. Now, are we going that high? Well, remains to be seen. But now I'm in log scale here. Now let's get rid of that. Oh, come on. There we go. 5, 3. Love it down here. I mean, you could, if you're a long-term player, start nibbling down here. If we sweep that low, you could start accumulating down here. No leverage, right? Don't let them liquidate you. No leverage. You start to accumulate down here. Pretty much anything down here would be accumulation zone. For a long-term player, right? Assuming you don't need that money, you can park it here. We could have a 5 coming down here. Perhaps you can park it here and hold for 2, 3 years. I think you'd be in good shape right now. Can you hold for a couple of years? Right, that's the hard part, right? The getting in is the easy part. When to get out, right? There's no right answer. Okay, so let me pause there. We're gonna go look at some trads for a second. Okay, let's get over on the trad side. So the dollar index is something we want to be paying attention to. Well, if I take, we've looked at this a couple of times, I think in some live streams as well. It's hard to argue with this 5. It's incredibly technical. There's a little bit of Elliott shuffle down here to do it as a DXY so we don't overlap here. But the ABC into the 4 and then the push, I mean, it's hard. I doubt we're going to get much dispute about whether or not we have an impulse there. The question would be, have we topped here? Well, you certainly would have the right look for that to be a top. And right now, this certainly looks like we've got the potential for this to be correcting to suggest lower prices. If it's topped, right, which, just standard Elliott technical analysis. Excuse me, let me get this over 1. If indeed we've topped, we'd be anticipating a move down to the 50. I guess we can, that's fine there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It's not like it's obligated to come down here. It's just what they usually do. So to come down here to this little order block, okay. Dollar down. Bitcoin. Why would the dollar be going up? Well, are interest rates going up? Well, let's take a look at that. So before we get to that, let's just dig in here. This is a little bit funky in here. Oh, let's see. I think what you've got here. Oh, I thought hang on. I've got this in another chart. All right, here it is. I knew I had it. Okay, so the proposed 5 being in as we start a correction with a target down here, in the low 90s. Is that realistic? Well, it's hard to argue with the Elliott count here, at least per what we're seeing right here. So the way I'm counting this here, this would be A, then we're going to go A, B, C into an A. We got a little zigzag here into this B, and then we're coming up with the C here. So I'm going flat zigzag impulse into the B for an A, B, C, which would then imply, right, again, right, but Elliott, always a snapshot in time. If we're coming down here to finish this, right, to get towards that 50, we're going to do it that way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right, get an impulse down here. Time frame for that, it's a weekly chart. Let's take it to a daily, right? Maybe it'll just be easier to spot. Could it take that long? Let's see what I've got here. Oh, I've got that twice. Okay, A, B. I've got this twice. A, B. We're coming down here. It's going to take that long. Well, what's the alternate here? If this is going to turn, we're going to end up here with a 1-2, which would be, it's certainly possible. So let's measure it out. If this is going to be a 1. We're going to go 1, 2, and we're going to continue to move higher in the dollar. That has its own complications, right? It would relate to just the broader economy, the global economy, Bitcoin, et cetera, right? If we're going that much higher with the dollar, that's got all sorts of problems, and I'm not sure that's what we would all want. So the idea that we're coming down here with a lower dollar, I wouldn't rule that out. I mean, if you're just following the Elliott count here, now of course the market doesn't move just because of Elliott. The market moves. Elliott shows you how it moves. So I'd be very mindful of the potential for the dollar to be weakening pretty substantially here. I won't get into all the macro pictures here. I'll let you do your own research here, but there's a lot of potential that we could very easily be heading down here, and then this idea would blow up, and we'd be back to redoing the whole thing, bringing it down into the lower 90s. All right, so let me get off that and just kind of wrap it up. Right, there's the premise, right? 5 is completed. We're looking for an A, B, C to complete it, to bring it back down here in the low to mid 90s. When was the last time we were down at that range? 2 years ago. So not out of the realm of possibility. I'd keep a close eye on that one, right? So now that in that same context, let's come over here. This is one, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago, I said, pay attention here. This is the bond yield. Well, of course, you're not going to trade the yield. Well, you're going to trade this. There are other ways to trade this, but of course, right? These are the smartest guys on the exchanges, right? So that silly little measured move algo, that's not going to be in the bond market. Ugh, no way. There it is, right in your face. So up into, again, not the 618, right? Golden zone. So we a little pop there. Now looks like we're doing 3 down here. Or is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Going lower. Well, it looks like they did it again. Let's go to the 4. Break that open a little bit. All right, so there's the one we talked about, right? I'll show you how I traded it. I don't ignore those. Will they do it again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's not much of a little pause in there. It looks like rally base rally. So maybe you can squeeze this into A, B, C. That sure looks like a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B. Here's the target right there. So you got a series of targets. Right? Look at the greens, right? So this target is here. This target is right here. Right? It's about to tap it. Right? Where's it going to tap it? Right at that golden zone, which has already come up just a little shy of it here. If we're going to get through that, you know where it's going. Right? It's going to get that target. So I'd be paying attention there, right? So we want yields down, right? That the idea is yields down, prices up. So where can you trade that? Well, of course you could something like the TLT. Oh, here you go. So TLT, this is how I've traded it, right? I'm just using options. So here 1, 2, right? Yields down, prices up. So this is, it's not a direct, it's the 20-year, but it's very tradable. It'll move in sympathy. So we get a DXY into a 2, 1, 2. Well, if so, then the potential here is for this to be a 1. It's it's always less clean, right, when you're on a daily chart in an equity, something like that, because of the gaps. You're down to a 4. It's not a whole lot better. 1, 2, 1, 2. Could be we're doing an A, B, C. That's got to come lower, right? But that would be contrary to what we're seeing. So the yield, the idea in the yield would be we'd hit and then we'd rally, and that would in turn perhaps trigger this coming back down for a second test of the low to give you a cleaner 3, or the 2 is in and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And the yields are going to keep coming down. There certainly is a big effort from this administration to get yields down. I don't think they care how they do it, right? Whether it's legal or not, but they're going to make an effort to do it. Okay, legal is no longer anyone's concern. Right, not to digress in that. I know I get in trouble when I do that. Okay, so let me hang on a second. Just to wrap that up with the dollar, right? This is the way you can trade that. This is how I did it. So this is an ETF. It's a bearish ETF, right? So if the dollar is coming down, right, this would be going up since it's bearish. So off we get a little pop of the golden zone here. It looks like we're starting here. There's a big gap here, right? Oh God, come here. Big gap right here that's trying to fill. Got a long way to go, but making a decent start here. RSI just pushing over 50, right? So a good sign that we're going to get the full loop, right? Well, remains to be seen. But that's another way you can trade this if you want to use ETFs and you don't want to be trading in the bond futures, which is very expensive. This is another way to do it. Something like this with an ETF. So I bought a series of calls here and so far so good. So the dollar, the TLT. Now the last one we're going to look at here is the NQ. So hang on a sec. Okay, big sell-off today in the NQ, right, straight down. What's the trigger? Well, I'll let you do your own digging. I don't want to get into any political commentary, so I'm not going to. But there's, ripples in the pond, right? You can't fuss with one part of it without affecting others. So this is a really tricky count, right? So any Elliottian here is a bit of a wag, right? It's not particularly clean. But there's, I've had to rework it several times. Broader picture, I'm inclined to think we've done oh, God damn it, I never get that on the first click. W, A, B, C, X, and then we've done a triangle Y, A, B, C, D, E into this. Now, if that's going to play ball here and we've got the good pivot, then this is the one and we're making a deep two invalidation right here, right? If we sweep that low, which we certainly could, well, we're probably not going to do that today, but we sweep that low next week, well, then this count blows up. Something else is happening. I think it's too soon to be thinking, oh, we've topped here, right? So the question would be, okay, is there some other way to get into a one? Oh, Jesus, I don't even know what that's going to look like, but we'll deal with it if it comes to that. If this low gets swept, then the 1-2 is off the board. Oh, fuck, what will we do? W, X, Y, X, Z, I suppose, would be where we'd be looking next. Let's only go there if we need to, but that's certainly an ugly day, and it's so typically on a Friday. You see this, right? So we'll know better Monday, right? Are they buying the dip or not? We're coming right into the POC. I'm drawing from this pivot high across. We're heading right to the POC. Pretty reasonable target, if indeed, but then we're getting mighty close to invalidation. You get that close to that pivot, right? You can anticipate algos would want to grab some liquidity there, which would invalidate this. We can't do this. Well. Yeah, I think that's, to call that a 3 is too much, right? A, B, C. Even this is a bit ugly. You're just barely getting away with it with that triangle. 1, 2, okay, right? So, is the AI revolution going to save us? Probably. And I'm not ready to get bearish on any of this yet, but there's plenty of bearish forces in the background here that could disrupt things. As it is right now, dips are being bought. Until that changes, I'd be looking for opportunity. Perhaps we come down here and we get a little push, retrace, and then we're off again, right? That would likely be the 1 of 3 if this is going to keep going. Could we go that high? Well, if this is 3 and this is 4, all the potential's there, right? But a lot of things have to go right. I'd be very mindful of what's happening here. I'd keep a close eye on the bond yields. Right? We looked at that. If it gets up, this is danger up here, right? We're moving away from that pretty aggressively now. 5% is where things change, right? Just alerted up here. If this was going to hold and then we're going to blast, right, that would have been really detrimental to the market. The fact that we're pushing away from that, with yields coming down, probably a good sign for the longer term for the market. So my guess is, my guess is this gets bought, right? And whether we invalidate or not remains to be seen. But my guess is next week we get NVIDIA, or unless somebody disappoints, right? NVIDIA disappoints, and we're likely challenging some of these lows down here. Market is very, very expensive, as they say, price to perfection. We'll wait and see how it works out. Okay, I'm going to keep it short and sweet this week because crypto's kind of sleepy and soggy and not particularly jubilant to be working through some of those. Although some of the big players here, you're getting better positioning here. So if you have a longer term horizon, not a bad time to be nibbling at some of these retracements. Okay, guys, have a good weekend. I'll catch you next week.